for example, one of the things that we come across is that attorneys, they have higher means and typically want to help provide for their families in ways that other people may not be able to. What they don't often factor in is how is that going to impact their own retirement? Do you have enough to maintain the lifestyle that you envisioned for yourself when you retire?
Welcome to our Happy Rainmakers video series where point one can make a difference. Today, I'm lucky to be joined by Niraj Chhabra, who is a certified financial planner with Sidebar Advisors. Welcome, Niraj.
Hi, good to see you again, Jen.
So a lot of the lawyers in our audience may be a little more like me and, came from a humanities background, went straight to law school, might not be the biggest investors, might not know their numbers. What are some things that lawyers should look out for when it comes to financial planning?
From what we see as it pertains to specifically retirement is that, attorneys really need to be thinking about retirement well in advance. If you start to think about it, when you're 6 months out from retirement or less, you might have missed the ball on certain things. So, for example, one of the things that we come across is that attorneys, they have higher means and typically want to help provide for their families in ways that other people may not be able to. What they don't often factor in is how is that going to impact their own retirement? Do you have enough to maintain the lifestyle that you envisioned for yourself when you retire? So that's usually the first thing that we try to do. Just understand, what's more important. Some clients are going to tell us, I don't care if I have to work till I'm 80. My kids are not graduating with any student loans and I'm setting them up for success in the future. And that's okay. There's no wrong or right, but it's just having a game plan leading into it that's important. Once you get closer to retirement, there's a lot of other stuff that you need to be thinking about. The two biggest things is going to be what your expenses look like and what's your tax situation going to look like. So that also starts earlier. We want to have some level of tax diversification because if all your money is going to be taxed on your way out, you're going to lose a good chunk of that to the IRS. So being strategic on where you're going to withdraw your money from at retirement is going to be a very big driver of how successful you're going to be at retirement and whether you'll be able to maintain your lifestyle once you get there.
Sure. And I imagine that any of your clients that come to you, wherever they are in their careers, you can help them estimate what their expenses are and what they're going to need for retirement so that they can make some decisions in planning with you?
Absolutely. And that's going to evolve over time. And that's why you want to constantly update your expenses. But one of the things that we do is we have an expense worksheet that accounts for the stuff that you would expect, your phone bill, groceries, mortgage, student loans, et cetera, but also the stuff that may not come up every single month. For example, your vacation bill, your holiday expenses, Broadway shows, Costco memberships. What we find is that when you add it all up, it literally translates to tens of thousands of dollars. So if you didn't have that as part of your budget, you're probably not being realistic and you're not going to stick with your plan. So we have our clients go through this exercise to just kind of account for what may have slipped through the cracks. We use that as a baseline number to figure out what are our expenses going to look like at retirement. Certain things are going to go away, such as, potential travel, commuting costs or dry cleaning bills. But you may want to add things like traveling or more recreation, So we want to kind of have an idea and a conversation with our clients to figure out what they envision for themselves at retirement. And then we could kind of add or subtract accordingly. Some people spend more once they retire. Some people will spend less. So it really does depend on the individual.
So here's the hard question. What if someone is watching this video right now and has a sinking feeling in his or her stomach because it's getting close to retirement and they don't think that they've saved enough? What's the first thing they should do? Probably call a financial planner right away and set up a meeting, right?
Yeah, it's always that feeling of like going to the doctor when you know you're sick. You're just kind of afraid of what they're going to tell you. So what do? You do nothing. That doesn't help anybody. Sometimes the news is better than you think. People have it in their mind that they have to have X amount of dollars in their 401k by the time they retire. But everybody's situation is different. What if you have a spouse that has a pension? Well, that takes a lot of pressure off of you. Are you going to get an equity distribution from your firm, once you retire? That's going to take a lot of pressure off of you. So sometimes it's not as bad as you think, but other times it's the opposite. You're used to living such a grand lifestyle and there's a lot of keeping up with the Joneses that you didn't put enough money for retirement. And that's a tougher conversation, but one that we're prepared to have with our clients and explain like, listen, based on what we're finding, you have a couple of options, and we always present the options to the client and let them choose their own adventure. Usually those options are going to either be cut back on your lifestyle or delay retirement. And the good thing with people in the legal profession is that they have that option, and it's not as bad as people think, because maybe it means reducing your hours significantly. Maybe it means being much more selective on the cases that you're taking on. But you do have that flexibility as an attorney to continue to work into retirement. Retirement's a very different animal for attorneys than it is for other folks. Usually with other people, it's kind of like an on-off switch. With attorneys, in my experience, it's almost like a dimmer. They start to reduce the number of hours, reduce the number of cases, and eventually they'll stop working. That few-year gap that you delay retirement, think about what's happening in the process. Let's call it 5 years. You decide to postpone retirement. Well, that's 5 less years that you're dipping into your retirement portfolio. That's 5 more years that you're saving and 5 more years of compounding growth. Mm-hmm. That has a very big multiplier effect for your retirement. Oh, by the way, your Social Security could be growing too during that period. So by the time you get to retirement, it could have a very pronounced effect on the lifestyle you have.
Anyone who hasn't done their financial planning or is a little nervous hearing Niraj talk about it should probably spend that 0.1 this afternoon reaching out to make an appointment with a financial planner. Thank you so much for being with us today.
I appreciate the opportunity. Thank you, Jen.